Welcome back, Dream Media family, for another episode. Today we are taking a first look and unboxing the Josh.ai 1 processor, which is named the Josh 1. We are here today live at Josh headquarters in Denver, Colorado. I was so stoked to check this out in person. I could have waited for this to ship. I drove halfway across the state so we can knock this out today, and I get to my hands on with all this really cool Josh stuff at the headquarters facility. So we'll be back at a later date to kind of tour the whole facility, but today we're really going to dive into the Josh 1, how this fits into the ecosystem, and why it's so special. Thanks for joining me. Tune in after this intro. All right, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in for that intro. So we are back with the Josh 1 here at Josh.ai headquarters in Denver, as stated. The first thing you may notice is, Chase, that's a whole home processor. That's a pretty small sealed box you're holding. You would be correct. The finished dimensions of this product are outstanding. Much similar to a video streaming device like an Apple TV than a typical processor that we know seeing. They're huge, they slide into the big computer racks. This can be set anywhere in your house. The final dimensions on this, and I will correct myself in the tech spec section if I'm wrong, it's just over 1 inch high and slightly under 3.5 inches wide and deep. Super small form factor for a whole home controller. Without any further ado, we're gonna dive into this. Let me get a quick pan around of the packaging. One of the things that it really doesn't matter, guys, but I really like it. Josh has some of the cleanest packing around. It really feels elegant and luxury, similar to companies like Apple. Like everything I've ever bought from Apple, it's packaged so nicely. It's like a presentation on its own. It's not just some dusty cardboard box you're cutting up into, and then you've got the Josh microphone bubble wrapped. I mean, this is thought through from beginning to end. So we're gonna go ahead and pan around this real quick and then cut into it. Let's take a dive. All right, guys, so I'm gonna put my hand down for reference. That's how big the box is, and I have medium-sized hands. Elegant, clean, and as soon as I get this plastic wrap, you're gonna see. So package contents, Josh 1, the power cable, and the power transformer. You may call that a wall wart. That's just the thing the USB cable plugs into that goes into the wall. So that's kind of what the box looks like up close with the plastic wrap. I'll take it off. We'll grab another one real quick and then we'll open it up. All right, let's open this up. And a little teaser for anyone that may be a Josh user already. You guys may have received an email pretty soon. This is the week of July 4th that I'm actually filming this. I don't know when it's going to be out on the channel, but as you can see, we've got our red, silver, and blue 4th of July themed Josh micros up here that are actually really clean, and I'm really falling in love with. I know it's not available widely. This blue matte finish that's not reflective. I think I'd really like the red too, but it's really reflective. I can kind of see myself in it. All right, let's dive into opening this up. So there's a thin plastic saran wrap on it. I'm just gonna score with a knife really lightly so that we can get our finger in there underneath. I don't really want to scratch up the box because these things are so pretty. All right. Uh-oh, uh-oh. On the side, we've got a little prompt here that says AI for your home. Super clean box, Josh 1 on the front, a little graphic image of what it may look like, as well as just some listings of package content and such behind it. So pretty simple packaging. I'll just bring this in for you guys. See, we've got the Josh 1 controller, the USB cable, and the wall transformer. You may refer to that as a wall wart. That is literally just the device that plugs into the wall that then your USB cable plugs into, right? So without further ado, we're gonna open this bad boy up. Let's take a look. I'm actually gonna bring you guys right down here. Give me a second. All right, guys, it's time to open this thing up. Now, you may see a couple products in the background that you may or may not recognize. Over here, I've got my Josh Cinema remote, which should pull up here in a second and look absolutely stunning. And as you can see, we can just click right on our apps. This is my favorite remote on the market if you're into modern displays but still love those physical buttons. The Josh Home remote essentially looks the same as this with a wider touchscreen and none of these physical buttons, but I really like the feedback, as you guys can see, these buttons are reacting to me, right? And I can feel the click physically, and that is something that I love and I'm not ready to get rid of on my remotes yet, which is why I really like controllers with tactile buttons. And then this is our classic black Onyx Josh Micro, not plugged into wire, but using this plate here for tabletop mode, right? So if you get one of these and you're trying to hang it up, this is actually the same plate that makes an on-wall retrofit. You just drill this magnetic plate to the wall, and then the Josh sticks magnetically. Now I've bumped into mine in my shoulder a bunch. Mine hasn't fallen off yet. These are also pretty durable. I remember the first one I ever bought, I dropped down a staircase, and besides a couple little nicks on the side, it was perfect. And then just for the festive season, we've got Josh's special edition 4th of July Josh Micros back there. Look how clean they are. Personally, my favorite is that matte blue that's not reflective like the silver or the red. Anyway, let's dive into this. So we've got our box here. AI for your home, Josh 1, a nice little logo. As you can see, package contents sweet and simple. Josh 1, USB power cable, power transformer, that's your wall wart. That's just the thing the USB cable plugs into that then plugs into a wall socket if power transformer sounds a little, I don't know, intimidating to you. So this is what I mean by just, oh my gosh, some of the cleanest packaging. And then right there at the beginning, Josh, find step-by-step instructions for setup here. And it's got the exact link out that you need. If you just go to the Josh website though, and you're looking for setup instructions or anything, they are so well dictated with help articles. Normally you don't even need to email them because all the answers are there. So look at this, tightly packed in foam. Oh my gosh. You know, I knew how small this thing was coming out here. I brushed up on the spec sheets. I was familiar with the previous generation Josh 1, and I'm extremely familiar with all their other hardware. This is ridiculously small. So I'm gonna keep this pan around going so you can see just how little there is, and then boom, there's the front. Let's go ahead and look at the bottom. Okay, we've just got our ratings. Made with love in Denver, Colorado, Josh 1 2.0. This is the 2.0 version of the Josh 1. So if you guys have a Josh 1 and you're looking at this and going, mine looks nothing like that. Yes, yours looks more like a cable box, it's a bit bigger. This is the new floor print. And again, I said it's gonna be about the size of an Apple TV. This thing is just about the same size, if not a little smaller. First thing I noticed, look at all these ventilation fans. So you've got intake and an outtake to keep these chip and electrical components cool when they're working hard. Already comes with rubber feet. And what I love about this, we're just gonna throw this into the side. We'll get to the power cable later. Okay, those rubber feet are really grippy. I'm really having to push on it to move it. You guys see how low profile that is? So if you don't have a computer rack and you're just looking to get a control system processor in there and you don't have a good place to hide it anywhere, this will sit right up on your cabinet and essentially just disappear. There's an LED here, but I can't believe the form factor. This is blowing my mind. Super simple interface here, right? We've only got 3 things to even do. Plug in a LAN cable for Ethernet, plug in the USB-C cable for power, and then a reset pin to factory reset the unit. So this is essentially ready to go. Quite possibly the simplest controller I've ever seen on the market. Everything is done via the cloud and via the programming that will be stored on here, but we don't need all these crazy physical connections anymore on our controllers that make them, 18 inches big, 16 inches wide, 2 U's in your rack room and really eating up a lot of space. So that's it, guys. This is kind of the bread and butter of the Josh ecosystem. And you may say, hey, Chase, you're missing the Nano. You're missing the touchscreen. The touchscreen works well with Josh 1. Unfortunately, the Josh Nano is something that you'd have to step into a voice control system for, since the only function of that device is being a microphone node, is communicating with the Josh core, who then does the onboard video decoding for him. So this is essentially a great start. If you're going a Josh 1 voiceless system, that's your main processor. If you want a couple touchscreens, you want a couple remotes, you throw them out, you get the phone app. That's the end of the story. There's a big misconception with this unit right here that the only thing that Josh 1 is good for is if you are a Josh client that wants the cool app, wants all that good experience, but doesn't want voice control. So before I go any further, I want to talk about the key differences between the software enablement of this unit alone, the Josh 1 alone as a standalone, a Josh 1 with a micro, and then how that compares, both those systems compare to the Josh Core, which is the big Mac Daddy whole home processor. So let's break down the details first. I've got these two processors in front of me, capable of 100 devices, and this is going to be my core for right now in our example, 1,000 devices in base configuration. You stack two of these, that's 200 devices, no voice control, no ChatGPT, no texting the system, essentially. Micro moves you into the voice control line. So this is going to add 100 devices with voice control. So we pair these two devices. We have full Josh GPT. We have a bump to a 200 device count. We also now have full access to the voice and the text functionality of the application. Now to the Josh Core. So that's going to really be for your big homes. 1,000 unique network devices that Josh is able to manage. It also has 4 voice outs if you're putting it into a distributed audio system, if you're throwing it into to an aux in on your AVR as part of your home theater. The Core is going to be the guy for you. The one does not support voice out, and this guy supports voice out locally, which is great. You know, if you're just throwing Josh into a master bedroom or something. It's not a crazy loud speaker. It'll do the job though. That's how I run the one in my living room. All right, guys, so I'm just gonna kind of start over with the processor comparisons, right? For the sake of this example, we're gonna pretend that this is the Josh Core controller, the Josh 1 box is the full Josh Core controller that does full system support, the audio outs, supports the nanos, and we're gonna kind of compare the 3 processors and why you would pick each one when building a Josh system, all right? So if you have a massive home, you know, 19, 20 rooms that you want mic enabled, all that goodness, you're gonna go with the Josh Core. Josh Core alone is gonna be 1,000 unique devices controlled by Josh. It's also gonna unlock the nanos because the nano, which is the small in-wall microphone, which I will show you now. All right, so as you can see here, I've got a Josh Nano, and that's what I'm referring to if you're not familiar with the product line. This is the mixed mic array that is really advanced with a physical disconnect button. All right, everyone, so let's just dive into all the controller types really quick before we dive further into the Josh 1 and talk about why the Josh 1 might be right for you or why one of the other controllers might be. If you are not looking for voice enabled or maybe you don't have a computer rack, right, this is a great low profile solution that blends in anywhere. This can be behind a flower pot, up on a countertop, up under a media cabinet. This could even be put up behind a television if you wanted to, right? And then we've got our Josh Micro, which is our classic. This is the original Josh processor and microphone that hit the market. They've been in service over 10 years and are still servicing today. And then just for the sake of this video, this box for the Josh 1 is gonna emulate our Josh Core, which is the Mac Daddy processor. So let's go into this. No voice control, no Josh GPT, no text to house. This is the cheapest subscription platform. Gives you full phone access, which it may sound limited because we took out GPT, voice, and text, but essentially reins it in line with every other classic control system interface you've used if you are not a Josh control system in your house. So, you know, you'd use your local controls on the wall, you'd use your remotes, like say for TVs, and then you would just use the app for everything else you wanted. No voice control, no really deep AI interaction with Josh GPT. Again, nor do you get the text function, which I use all the time. In its standalone configuration, 100 devices. So I keep saying 100, 1,000, you go, oh my gosh, 100 devices isn't much. That's 100 unique devices, guys. So let's say you have a Lutron system with 200 light switches. Well, Josh is only talking to the processor, so that only counts as one device. Same would go for a shade ecosystem. If you have a shade ecosystem where each shade is its own wireless device, those will each count across this. But typically, if you have a system with an integration bridge, he's only counting one for the integration bridge link. Like let's say you have a Control 4 system and you're trying to modernize the feel of the app without replacing all your gear. So you put Josh as an overlay onto a Control 4 system that works with both Crestron and Control 4 currently. At that point, you know, the Control 4 controller is again one device. And now anything on the Control 4 system counts as one device unless you're talking to it directly. Like let's say a Roku. Maybe the Roku is on both systems for control, but that will count as one device towards your device count. Okay, so 100 devices, no AI Josh GPT for asking questions, no voice outs through the home, and no talk to text in the app. And what I mean is you can either talk to the house via the app or you can text the home commands via your phone app. Not applicable. Now these both give you full access, and the big difference here is speed and capabilities, right? So the Josh Micro, 100 devices, just like the Josh 1, does give you full voice control of the home, though you are stuck using these as your microphone nodes throughout the home. It is not compatible with the Josh Nano until brought into the Mac Daddy system, the Josh Core. So once we're in our Josh Core, guys, 1,000 devices per core, you can dupe them up or set them up as a fail-safe with 2 Josh Cores, and that'll get you up to 2,000 devices, fully voice-enabled, many microphones as you want. And let's show you which microphone I'm talking about. Since you're looking at the Micro, here's our Nano on the wall in this really nice palladium keypad. Sorry, this is the Lutron backplate. That's the Lutron Palladium keypad. There's our Josh Nano, and here is our Josh white touchscreen. As you can see, I have that physical disconnect off. Okay, Josh. All right, so that was him listening. Now that red button I'm doing there is actually physically disconnecting the power of the microphones, making sure your environment is secure. And I know I haven't said this, guys, but they do not sell data the same way Amazon Alexa and Google Home are going to do. So if you're privacy first and love voice control, this is the most secure environment on the market currently. So now that we've done that, there is a bit of configuration hurdles. This is why you reach out to an expert like me, and we just kind of talk through your system based on what you need. But essentially, if you have a Josh Core, you can use these. Micros, Nanos, whatever, the app has full functionality, right? If we just have a Josh Micro, we've got the Josh GPT, we've got the talkback through these in the home, not through the distributed audio system. For that, you need a core. But if you're just talking through these mics or wirelessly to a Sonos speaker, like you have a Sonos soundbar, he can talk through a Sonos soundbar speaker without a Josh Core in your home. I know it gets complicated. That's why I'm here for you guys and offer free consultations. You can also, guys, pair these 2 controllers together. Now, why would I do that? Maybe I've got a small home. Maybe I want something cost effective. Maybe the 100 device count wasn't enough. Maybe you just got this guy, you've been living with them, you love the Josh ecosystem, and now you want to add the voice, the Josh GPT, the texting your home. Now all of a sudden you plug one of those into your systems, and I'm capable of voice now, Josh GPT, 200 devices, all the goodness. This is actually, if this was released, guys, this would be the exact system that was in my home based on the size, which currently is being run by Josh Core, really outdated at this point, considering now I could just run that, and it would well cover the scope of my home and its needs. So this is going to lower the barrier to entry for Josh and also give you the option. Do you want all the crazy smart home features, or do you just like the ecosystem? Again, I cannot get over the fact of how small this is, guys. It's smaller than our Micro. Look at that thing. So without further ado, we're gonna jump into some of the tech specs. I'm gonna roll some glamour shots of this device, and then we're just gonna dive into why I use Josh, why it's the ecosystem I like, and why it was so important that I thought the Josh one was big enough to drive all the way across the state today to film this in person for you guys at Josh headquarters. Let's jump into it. All right, guys, let's dive into the tech specs on the Josh one and why it's so exciting. So this device right here is 1.07 inches or 27 millimeters in height. It's 3.35 inches deep and wide, or 85 millimeters deep and wide, and it's only 0.55 pounds, so it's a little over 8 ounces. It's essentially weightless, guys. The only thing required to make this guy run in your home is gonna be the Josh software plan, and at bare minimum, a phone that can run the Josh app. This can kind of be circumvented with touchscreens, with the remotes, which pulls me into our next point. This Josh 1 supports the use of the Josh Micros, any Josh remote, and the Josh.ai touchscreens that we've showed off on the channel before. It supports up to 100 unique devices controllable. It runs off a 4-core processor, guys, which is plenty, with speeds up to 1.5 gigahertz. That is plenty for what this device is doing. Essentially over-engineered at this point. Those numbers may sound small, but you have to think, what is this guy doing versus your gaming computer at home? So don't freak out when you hear 4-core, 1.5 gigahertz speeds. That is essentially overkill for what we're doing with this. Again, the box is gonna come with a power cable and a USB-C adapter. And again, super important, you can take 2 of these and put them in your home. Now you've unlocked the same ecosystem, but with 200 device controls, or you throw in this bad puppy, the Micro, and now I've still got 200 devices, but I've jumped into voice control, the Josh GPT. Why you may think that's so important, guys, I'll probably show off or check out some of the other Josh.ai videos. I interact with my system as much for the bells and whistles that come with the voice upgrade as I do with the app. And just to show you guys, here's our USB-C cable that I was talking about. And this is the power transformer that I was saying, don't be weirded out when you see the specs. It's literally just a plug-in wall wart with the Josh logo on it. All right. So the tech specs on this are kind of really simple because Josh, again, is a software-based platform, not a hardware-based platform. So everything happens in the cloud. You're gonna have the same great build your own commands without a technician coming into your property, which is something I love, guys. If you're a homeowner and you have other control platforms, let's say, and maybe you had some lighting scenes set up, and they're just not quite right. Maybe the timing's wrong. Maybe they didn't think deep enough when programming, and now the time has changed where you live, and the lighting program doesn't work anymore. You can edit that yourself. You can also make new commands. It's so funny. I'll go home to my house and look at our command list, and there'll be, 5, 10 custom commands that I didn't even build, that people in my household have just been dropping in and playing around with, putting in custom responses. So, you can, when you run a command, you make it yourself. You can have Josh not respond. You can have him just generic response, which just pulls from his normal catalog of responses, or you can just tell him to say whatever you want. Like, I'm a Star Wars nerd, so one of my favorite things is almost every command in my home has a couple different custom responses, but one of them is always Roger, Roger, as a throw out to Star Wars, which we love in our household. Just really cool to play with the system. You can have it called out by name. Like when I say good morning, he's like, wake up, get out of bed, quit being lazy. It gets me going first thing in the morning, guys. So without further ado, that kind of racks up our tech specs, because there's really, again, not much going on here. Physically, it's very minor here in the physical, and everything is controlled by software. Now that may scare you, and it may have scared me too, except for, again, these Micros came out over a decade ago. The first ones are still servicing because it's not like a phone company where they're updating and outdating the technology in here. This was overbuilt and engineered for the future. All the changes are happening on the software side, which just lets them limp this along. You may have noticed with some other control platforms, maybe a new update came out and you get a response that your system's too old to upgrade. That stuff's really frustrating. And by focusing on software over hardware here, they have made sure that these devices stay up to date for a long time. I mean, 10 years for an AI voice processing whole home controller to still be viable a decade later is insane. Typically these are on rotations of a couple years, maybe 5 years, 7 years is a long time for a processor to be on the market from anyone. That seems like too long. Like, think about your phone. New phones every year, new computers every year, new updates every year. Software driven, hardware last. And by last, I don't mean it's last place, I mean it lasts a long time. All right, everyone. So we just finished unboxing and explaining our Josh 1 versus the rest of the ecosystem. And I just want to take a second to pan around this beautiful room. This is the Josh demo room in Josh headquarters in Denver, guys. If you want to experience this, I have now 2 available showrooms we can book at in Denver. I also have show properties all over the mountain range, as well as in Texas and coming soon in New Jersey. So if you guys are looking to play with some of this in person before committing, you've really been into the YouTube videos, reach out to me, schedule a time. If you're traveling and happen to be passing by, I'll meet you guys in person and let you play with the stuff hands-on. But just wanted to take a pan around and then look at this clean setup. So obviously this is a demo room, so they're just trying to show the capabilities. But here we would have done the designer ones, you know, push back, white, all white matching. But this is just, you know, one of the options. You can go with silver for this. There's a gold one. These are made by Lutron, so they pair perfectly with Lutron if you're doing a Palladium home. And as you can see, like let's say we didn't have the Josh built into a keypad right here. This is the Josh Nano. We could have this on wall, sitting proud about that much. Or we can do a wall smart retrofit or pre-construction flush mount, which would put the Josh flat with the drywall, which I love. So let's take a look at our speaker. You can see somebody in the office is listening to Taylor Swift. So, oh man, we started here, so we're just gonna dive right in, guys. So as you can see here, there's my mic button. So if you were, you know, did a Josh 1 system and throw up a touchpad, you're not gonna have that mic button there. That's because we have a core running this room as the backbone. But let's just take a look. So we've got our album art here, our song. It's streaming from Apple Music specifically. You'd see Spotify or Deezer or whatever you're using. We have all our typical controls that'd be available in Apple Music, right? Our volume control right there, our grouping button. So let's go ahead and hit that. We're not gonna change anything. All right, lounge, conference area, and kitchen. So I can hit select all. I can choose any number of rooms I want. That's how easy it is grouping rooms. And let's go ahead and, so I got hit with the search bar there, right after grouping and volume for new music. But then let's check this out. We've got some favorites here. We've got our last list. So if you are using Spotify or Apple Music, you know, this is kind of what they've been listening to here. A lot of Taylor Swift, Radiohead, and the Beatles. And then we've got collections. So let's say you aren't trying to look for music yourself, right? You know, you don't want to think. You can come down here, hit lo-fi, find something new, hip hop, rock. Look at all these different categories here. Even white noise, guys, for when you're trying to sleep. That's a button, a happy holiday, bluegrass, punk, you name it. So since I talked about how this is probably the biggest weapon in Josh 1 right now, in my mind, because of how nice this integration is, you know what? We're getting some bad light. Okay, Josh, close the shades.
Closing the shades.
So just to show the integration power, guys, of Josh, over here on my left, these are Lutron shades, and these are actually Somfy powered processor shades here, which we would provide through Screen Innovations. So this is the first example I think I have of both shade platforms we sell operating under the same system. Why does that even matter? Well, if you guys reach out, I have Somfy wireless motors that can be hurricane resistant outdoor shades as well as mosquito screens. And maybe you want that, something really cool outside in a gazebo, but then you want that classic Lutron look inside, and you guys just saw that seamless integration. And I'm getting off topic, so let's jump back onto Josh 1. All right, so we are here in the Josh Lounge. Ooh, very nice. There may be some purple lighting. We have Catcher in here, so give me one more second, guys. Okay, Josh. Okay, Josh, make all the lights white.
The lights are now set to white.
Okay, that's Catcher, guys. And if you want to see some crazy stuff, I'll throw some examples out there, but we're gonna try and stay away from voice commands for this Josh 1 thing. All right, so this is the exact same interface I'm gonna see with Josh 1 outside of this little text box down here and microphone box. All right, guys, so this is the exact same interface you're gonna see with Josh 1 with one exception. This right corner here that has a text bubble where I can text and the microphone where I can talk to the touchscreen will be gone. That'll be the same in the phone app as well, but everything else is gonna be the same. So Good morning. In Denver, it's 60 degrees and cloudy. We currently, in the showroom, have one door armed, music playing in one zone, one television running, only one shade open, 8 lights on, and then we can go ahead and click on our recent activity tab here. Motion, the lounge motion sensor. Okay, I've brought this up in other videos. There's a motion sensor right here, guys, that can be used to trigger commands, which is something I love. There's already a phono sensor in this device to wake it up when you walk by. Josh took that an extra mile and made that a variable I can program to. So let's say this is the mudroom, and the only time somebody ever comes in on the side of the touchscreen is when they're entering the house. I could have it to be when the lounge senses that touch motion like it just did, that it turns on the lights here, and then I can even go look at my commands. What happened? So the commands tab is gonna be a little less flushed out on Josh One Without Voice, but let's say you've got the voice system and you're having miscommunications, or maybe one member in your family saying, I can't get the lights to turn on in this room, and you look and they're calling it some super weird name. Eventually Josh will add that in as a call word, but you can just go in and then add that call word and forego the AI learning process on that. So let's go, that was our home screen, guys, by the way. This is a centralized home screen that I love from Josh. It's very modern. I see everything going on in my house right from the home screen, the temperature at the house, and boom, we're right into it. So let's jump into our tiles here and look at our main dashboard. So here on the main dashboard, the main dashboard, guys, is your menu. That's gonna come blank. We're looking at the back of my head. That's awesome. So this is gonna come completely blank. And the dashboard is where you can favorite things. Like they've favored muting this microphone in here, and some of the cameras, and a welcome to Josh demo, and then some of the lights. So this is really informal. You guys organize that however you want once you're living in your home. So that's gonna come blank to you, and then you add those if you want. Then we've got our navigation menu by home or floor, right? So let's just click on the home one. We've got headquarters, outside, first floor, second floor, third floor, and then our unassigned room, which you only see if you're the programmer because it's where that's our equipment room, right? So that was the navigation tab. So I can click on headquarters here, right? And now that is my home page. So as you can see in headquarters, really nothing is happening on that global level, but then you could go down to micro levels here. Like I'm sure if I click on the first floor, yeah, our conference room, our kitchen, our lounge, our office area, sitting area, and then again, the equipment room at the bottom there that will not show up for homeowners. Now I click on that and you can see what's going on. Got one alarm armed. But if you look back, look at this tiny little corner there. If that's active, there's something active in the space and it's gonna pan. So the conference room, you just saw TV. There's shades active. Lights, you guys see those little icons, TVs. Now locks will show up for the first floor one. Right there, lock, since we're armed. So just a summary of what's going on in the room. So if this isn't your home, and you're looking for locks, you can kind of just wait it out there. I love that. Just another little helpful thing. Then we click on our, what looks like a plug for an electrical socket, and that's our device menu. All right, so this is now global device control. So we've foregone rooms. Let's say we're not doing rooms. I don't want to do rooms. I'm making global commands. This is where it's at. Keypads is interesting. Keypads, like let's say you have a Lutron Palladium keypad just like this. That's actually going to show up in there in the app for access no matter where you are in the home. So maybe you have a goodbye command at the mudroom, but for some reason it didn't end up in your master. You can go ahead and call on that keypad right there, or I would just make a Josh scene at that point. But that gives you access. Let's say you have 60 keypads. It gives you access to every single button option in the entire home if you're using Lutron or something. Then we've got our lights, our shades, our music, our video, our cameras, locks, other, which is gonna be our sensors and weird things like that. So you're gonna see our motion sensors here probably. Dish hopper, okay. So they've got a lot going on here, but you can see the touch screen show up. They even have a mini Mac showing up in here. So other is gonna be all that weird stuff. You're almost never gonna click on the other tab, because let's say you even are talking about a motion sensor like me doing this. That's, you're not gonna wanna turn that on or off, but security and lock, so that's a little different, right? Security is gonna be the, hey, arm the house. Let me look at the cameras. And then your locks tab is gonna be your Schlage. Okay, so they don't have a door lock in this space, but let's say you guys got 2N, Schlage, one of these, maybe like a ring door lock, right? So that's where that's gonna show up, all your door locks. Then we've got our Josh microphones. There's gonna be some offline stuff, guys, because this is a huge headquarters demo space. They're constantly testing products. As you can see, I've got my lounge and my conference room now. So if we mute both of those, you can see that muted in real life, like instantly. Let me unmute it, boom. And again, that's the digital mute. That's the analog mute I was talking about where it disconnects the power. There's no way for that device to listen now. And you can see, you see how that icon changed? And that's a red lock without a toggle. That's because it's locally on your device if you've seen that in your home. All right, so we'll jump into our lights here. And you can see we've got an all off, all on global command, slice of life, super nice, as well as room global commands and light load flag. So you can see the conference room is 1 light load. The lounge has 7, I think. Yeah, 7 loads. So you can turn them all off, turn them all on from there. And that's gonna be global to our shades as well, guys. So as you can see, we can close every shade in the house, open them up, and look, as you can see, the conference room is 1 shade that's down. The lounge is 3 that are up, and that's why we've got the different colors there. So it's really easy to identify what's going on. We broke down the music thing kinda, but essentially these are what the rooms will look like. So those aren't active. And here's our lounge that we were looking at Taylor Swift earlier. I skipped over this, let's dive into it because this is the coolest thing they offer. All right, so as you can see there, I'm searching title. So let's see what other options they have. Spotify, TuneIn, Apple Music. Let's stay on title. So we can see recent searches on title. All right, we can filter that by artist, genre, songs, or albums. Again, so this is recent, right? That's gonna be kind of disconnected from our search. So let's search for artist. Type in Chris. And again, we're inside of Josh and it's like we're searching title natively. Chris Brown, Chris Stapleton. I don't wanna change the music in the space. So you can go genres, go ahead and look up direct song. So it gets really, really crazy deep dive here that I mean, we've been waiting for a decade in this industry. I can even just go and search for my favorite album and get that queued into my system. Then I can add it as a favorite. The cleanest integration on the planet for music at this point. Again, we've got a Sonos backbone. So you're thinking, we're talking to Sonos, Tidal, and Josh all at the same time through this interface. No 3-stage app solution like most systems are. Then we've got our camera breakdown, our locks, we talked about that. So really, lights, shades, and music are what is crazy to me. Like the Ketra integration we're gonna dive into is wild. The music integration is the best on the market, world class. And the video deep dive is slowly, it's been my favorite video integration for 3 or 4 years now. It's slowly gaining popularity more and more. That's your deep dive, right? So that's where you're gonna say, watch Top Gun Maverick. It's gonna find it on your Kaleidoscope. If it's not there, it's gonna go find it where it's available to rent or if it's on another streaming service. So like if I say watch Top Gun Maverick and he searches my Kaleidoscope and I had Top Gun but not Top Gun Maverick downloaded, he's not gonna get stuck there. Then he's gonna go find it on another streaming service, and last resort, he's gonna pull it up on Amazon Prime or another service where I can pay to rent it there. Super cool stuff that works for TV shows on most platforms. This changes day to day, guys. So, Netflix may push an update that breaks their integration for a little bit. It'll come back. There's so much going on in technology, but you can say things like watch a specific episode of a specific season of a specific TV show and get into it. Not all apps are the same. And anyway, people really like that feature. Like, I'll just throw it out again. Watch episode 2 of season 1 of Stranger Things. He'll go find that on Netflix, but how often are you actually going to do that? So when the app provider adds an authentication step that gets Josh hung up, you're not going to be calling out specific episodes. I don't remember what episode I left it on TV shows. So I'm just going to say something like watch Netflix or watch the TV show. Maybe you don't know what streaming service is on. That's where that comes in handy to me, right? I want to watch Cars the movie. I don't know where to find it. It's on Disney. But I'll say watch Cars the movie. It's going to at least open Disney and land me there and get me ready for action, which is something I love. Then we're going to jump just over to our scene tabs here, which you can see demo focus, but these are what you can edit yourself, and you can't edit them on the touchscreen, but from your iOS app you can. And you guys will be able to add timeouts, timers. I set those daily, something like an alarm clock. I just tell Josh at night, wake me up at 6:30 tomorrow. That's when we're moving. you know. So I just wanted to break down the UI of the app. And again, Josh.1 is going to be no voice at all, but look how quick that translation is happening there. So I just wanted to show that. And now I'm going to kind of take some glamour shots of this room, kind of show Josh in action in a space that we haven't filmed before. All right, guys, thanks for joining me for the music breakdown, the interaction breakdown, kind of what the GUI looks like on the tablet. We're going to jump into a phone demonstration of one of our homes to show some of the integrations that this demo room, you know, based on building codes and all that, was not able to include, but that are used in residential properties all the time. So I'm gonna get you guys set up, looking at my iPhone, and we're gonna dive into one of the properties in Colorado, which you guys have seen before, but what I just did last week was add HVAC Control, which we haven't showed up in a Josh ecosystem home before. So I thought it would be cool. All right, guys, something I wanted to show really quick and informally that isn't covered in this space because of building codes is the HVAC integration. So my thumb is here blocking the homeowner's name, but let's just go ahead and click on our active thermostats. And this is the exact integration you're gonna get from Josh.1, Josh Core voice enabled systems, yada, yada. All right, so you can see now this house isn't being lived in currently. So let's just click on the master bath thermostat. So you can see at the top, it's 76 degrees and our heat point is 58. So no one's in the home right now. Ahead of their arrival, I'm sure they cool it down, but you've got your fan and your heat controls there. And then this is my set point for the room to kick on, right? So if it goes below or above that line, like let's say you have heating and air conditioning, and I set this to, let's be reasonable here and say 68, 69 degrees. If I have that set to 69 degrees and the room hits 71, it's gonna automatically start cooling. I'll see the cooling logo there. As you can see at the bottom, we just have the heat logo because that is what it's waiting for, right? We have AC disabled, no one's in the home, so all Josh is doing is waiting to see 76 drop below or 258 for it to engage heat. So unfortunately, none of these zones have engaged heat right now because of how cold the room is, but maybe we can go ahead and trick it real quick just to show you guys that. All right, so let's take this bent thermostat. It's 70 there, it's set to 68. Ooh, you saw that turned orange? So we have now enabled heat in the space, and let's look at how that looks a little different. We've got red, we can tell that our heat's on. All right, and then we can go ahead and switch it to auto, heat, cool, and off, right? So typically in your home, you're gonna leave this set to auto, and while it's on auto, you don't have to worry, you just set a range. You can say, you know, start cooling the house off once it gets to 76, but only start heating it once it's broken the plane to the 60s or whatever. But right now, again, no one's living in the home. It's a Colorado ranch. They've just got heat on. They just don't want it to freeze if we have a cold spell by accident. And we're gonna go ahead and put this guy back to where he was, which is at 68. You can see now we're no longer heating. You'll get a blue icon for cooling, and then it'll update on the homepage, and this will light up like red or cooling to show you. So it's a really streamlined, and again, this is just what it looks like when they're all in stationary. But that's the thermostat integration. I wanted to jump in real quick because we've never broken this down. So thanks for joining me. All right, everybody, that is a wrap on our first look, unboxing, and showcase of the Josh.1 whole home processor from Josh.ai. So this is your go-to if maybe voice isn't for you, or you don't want to make the full commitment to a full blown out system day one, and maybe you don't need the AI assistant. This is essentially dumbs down Josh to all the other control platforms on the market, sorry to say, and just gives you the app and remote experience and on-wall experience that you're used to, and can be expanded to voice and AI assistant anytime. Really cool stuff. I want to thank the Josh.ai team for being so cool to let me take up this demo space for a full day to try some of this stuff out. And now it's my turn to call you guys out. If you guys want to see this tech in person, maybe play with it hands-on and just haven't quite, thought about how, that's what I'm here for. Reach out to me. We can schedule a demo in this room at Josh.ai headquarters, or we can use one of our many other showroom locations for Josh.ai around the country. So without further ado, guys, thank you for joining me. If you haven't started your smart home journey yet, reach out. Do not have regret. If you have a home and have regret, It could just be the way your system's configured. Reach out. I am here to help and build smart systems that not only work for you, but are curated to your lifestyle. So are the rest of our experts here. We will walk through walls to make sure that your system works for you. Thank you for joining me. Reach out for that free video consultation again, or come meet me in person. I'll catch you guys next time.